Namaste. Welcome to Heritage Stories and Performing Arts. I'm Sarita Nair, founder of HSPA. Here we bring to you stories from our heritage and history through performing arts. Thank you for joining us this evening on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. Today, a story on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se comes to you from the land of the gods, Himachal Pradesh. Why is it called the land of the gods? Well, the state finds a mention in various ancient religious texts, and hence the land of the gods. If you have watched our promo video, you would have seen that we had shared two clues for you to guess the state of origin and the place of origin of the story. Clue number one was that this state is known for its train, which is a UNESCO heritage site. And many of you rightly guessed, the train is a toy train that runs between Kalka and Shimla Railway. A second clue was that the name of the city is because of the famous ancient plastic surgeons who used to live in this region. These surgeons performed plastic surgery on the royals and the warriors. So this city is Kangra. Kan for Kangra, and Gada is what is called as create or mold. So Kangra is molding or creating an artificial ear, maybe. Isn't that fascinating? And ancient plastic surgeons on which the city is named. So this is our incredible India. So do keep watching our promo videos for many such interesting facts on our state and the place of origin of the stories. Now to come back to today's story. Today's story is a story of an unsung hero from Himachal Pradesh, and bringing us the story is Rohini Vij. Rohini Vij is a professional storyteller, voice artist, educator, phonics trainer, drama coach, curriculum developer, and founder of Nutspace. She's on a mission to raise readers and is actively engaged with curriculum development for schools and her own edtech platform, www.nutspace.in. She regularly creates audiobooks and podcasts for reputed publishing houses in India. She has authored several stories for children. And today she's here to share a story with us, the story of an unsung hero on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. Rohini, welcome to Itihaas Ke Pannon Se.
Namaste, and thank you so much for having me here, Sarita. It's indeed a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining in, and I shall go off video and give the stage to you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So, as you know, that this story comes from the state of Himachal Pradesh, my state, where I was born. And in fact, I was born in Kangra. So this story is even more special. Our story starts on 25th June 1983 with a young boy, a 10-year-old boy from a tiny village in Himachal Pradesh called Dada Sibba. Now, this 10-year-old boy was very, very excited. He wanted to witness history being created. He wanted to watch the final World Cup match. But unfortunately, there was no television set around his house. And then, because he was so desperate, he found that there was indeed a television set, but a little far away from his neighborhood. This young 10-year-old boy, whose name was Virendra or Veer, was thrilled. And without telling anybody at home, he rushed over there to watch the match. And indeed, he was ecstatic. And when he saw his favorite cricketer, Kapil Dev, lifting the World Cup, he was thrilled. As he was walking back home, he had a spring in his step. It was as though he himself had won the World Cup. Little did he know that things were a little austere back at home. His father had spent the entire day looking for him. And the moment Virendra entered the house, he received the thrashing of his life. He was then hung upside down in the veranda to teach him a lesson. While he was hanging upside down, tears streamed down his cheeks. He was sad. He was upset. A perfectly good day was ruined. But just then, as he was hanging upside down, he was reminded of somebody. a protagonist from a story that his own father had told him. That person was also hung upside down many a times. In fact, he had suffered worse tortures. Right at that moment, young Virendra was not sad anymore. In fact, he felt a sense of pride. And right then, he started muttering a few words. भारत मां जो आजाद कराने ताईं मावा दे पुत्तर चढ़े फांसियां हसदे हसदे आजादी दे नारे लाई मैं कुण कुण घराना मेरा सारा हिंदुस्तान है मेरा भारत मां है मेरी माता ओ जंजीरां जकड़िए ओ अंग्रेजां पकड़िए उसनू आजाद कराना है कांशी राम जिंद जवानी जिंद बाज नहीं लानी इक्को बार जमना देश बड़ा है कौम बड़ी है जिंद अमानत उस देश दी. When Virendra's father heard these words, at once he brought the young lad down, and together they thought about their hero, a man, a poet, a singer, a storyteller, a bard from their village, Dada Sibba in Kangra, present-day Himachal Pradesh, a man known as Kanshi Ram and also Baba Kanshi Ram, who roamed from village to village and created awareness using the power of his words. And what was so special about him? He wrote in his mother tongue, Pahadi, Himachali, and which is why many people understood what he said, and he managed to inspire and ignite a passion in many, many people from his village. Born in Dada Sibba, Kangra, on 11th July 1882, in a simple family, Kanshi Ram got married at the tender age of 7 to his wife Saraswati, who was just 5 years old. Life was not easy for Kanshi. He lost his father at a tender age of 11, and the entire responsibility of taking care of his family fell on Kanshi's fragile shoulders. After a few years, he decided to go to Lahore to look for work. Although he went there looking for work, the freedom struggle was at its helm over there. And over there, he met some freedom fighters like Lala Hardyal and Sardar Ajit Singh, who inspired him and motivated him to join the freedom movement. Kanshi was really interested in poetry and literature, and which is why he started attending sabhas over there at Lahore. And there he met Sufi Amba Prasad, the one who had written the famous song Pagdi Sambhal Jatta. And he also met other poets like Lal Chand, Falak, and many more. That's when Kanshi realized that he had a real talent for music and he was good with his words. He decided to do something about it. He started writing, but he wanted to learn more. He wanted to sing. So he learned music at Lahore's Dhobi Ghat Mandi. And then what was left? Nothing, of course. He came back to Kangra and started singing. Imagine a tiny little man holding a dholak and a manjira and singing in a melodious voice. People followed him everywhere. Well, that was Kanshi Ram, of course. Well, also, everything was going on very, very well. His popularity was growing. But an unfortunate incident occurred. In the year 1905, there was a terrible earthquake that happened in Kangra. In fact, it was so terrible, it measured 7.8 magnitude, and nearly 20,000 people died. That's when Lala Lajpat Rai's congressmen came down to Kangra and helped with rescue operations and all the earthquake victims. Kanshi at once joined the mission. That's when he became close to Lala Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai got to know about his efforts, and Kanshi's confidence grew. Everything again was going on very well. and his popularity was growing, his sabhas were growing, and people in his sabhas were increasing. And still, like a bard, he traveled on foot from place to place. On 13th April 1990, Kanshi happened to be in Amritsar. That's when another terrible tragedy occurred, the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. And when Kanshi saw the devastation, he was absolutely dumbfounded. And there and then, he took a vow to drive the British out of the country. And because of this, in the month of May in 1919, he, along with Lala Lajpat Rai, was put in the jail of Kangra Dharamshala for 2 years. But this didn't bring down his spirits. Kanchi began writing more and more. He wrote many, many poems and songs and stories. And then life was in and out of jail for him. Many a times he would be put behind bars for provoking people on charges of sedition. Kanchi went to jail 11 times. He spent 9 years of his life behind bars. Once, in a place called Daulatpur, which is in district Una of current-day Himachal Pradesh, the Nightingale of India, Sarojini Naidu, was visiting. And when she heard Kanchi singing, she was mesmerized by his words, by his voice. And she gave him a title, the Nightingale of the Hills, Bulbule Pahar. However, in the year 1931, a terrible tragedy occurred. Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru were hanged. And this truly shook him up. He was devastated. Baba Kanshi Ram decided to go into mourning, and he wore black clothes. And he said that he will not remove his black clothes until he drives the British out of the country. Because of his new attire, Baba Kanshi Ram earned himself a new name, Siai Posh Jarnail, or the Black General. In the year 1937, Jawaharlal Nehru was visiting Hoshiarpur, and he was addressing a crowd of people. Jawaharlal Nehru knew about Baba Kanshi Ram, and he also knew that Kanchi was a staunch believer of Gandhiji, a follower who followed Gandhian principles to the core, a believer of non-violence. He used the power of his words that often provoked many a people, his words that were full of satire. So Jawaharlal Nehru very, very affectionately called out to Baba Kanshi Ram from stage. And how did he address him? He called him Pahadi Gandhi. At once, the entire crowd erupted into slogans of Inqilab Zindabad. And the name Pahadi Gandhi stuck. Unfortunately, Baba Kanshi Ram could not see India getting freedom. We lost him on 15th October 1943. In the year 1983, the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, released a stamp in Baba Kanshi Ram's name. In fact, there was also an award that was given to people who were coming from the state of Himachal Pradesh, poets, especially writers and singers. But that award also was discontinued after a few days. And somehow, Baba Kanshi Ram became a forgotten hero of Himachal. You know, he was true to his word. When he died, he was wearing black and he was wrapped in black cloth as all his followers bid him a teary farewell. But unfortunately, he is a forgotten and unsung hero. There's not a single street, chalk, or monument that has been given Baba Kanshi Ram's name in Himachal Pradesh. However, all have not forgotten him. Remember that 10-year-old boy at the beginning of my story, Virendra Sharma? Well, he, along with a few handful, are trying their level best to do something for this unsung hero. Kanshi Ram's house is in shambles, and they're trying their level best to get it fixed, to get it restored, and to get it recognized as a national monument. In the year 2017, the then government promised that his house will become a monument. But the government changed and his file got lost somewhere. Two walls of that house have already fallen, and two are waiting for a heavy downpour. भारत मां जो आजाद कराने ताईं मावां दे पुत्तर चढ़े फांसियां हसदे हसदे आजादी दे नारे लाई. To bring freedom and independence to Bharat Mata, the children, the sons of Bharat Mata, are happily getting hanged and giving up their lives. मैं कुण कुण घराना मेरा, सारा हिंदुस्तान है मेरा, भारत माता है मेरी माता. Who am I? What is my identity? I am a Hindustani. And the entire Hindustan belongs to me, and I belong to Hindustan. And I am the son of Bharat Mata. O janjeeran jakdiye, O अंग्रेज़ां पकड़िए, उसनु आजाद कराना है. But unfortunately, my mother is tied. She's chained, and we need to help her come out of those shackles. We need to bring her independence and freedom. Kanshi Ram jind jawani, jind bajni lani, ikko baar jamna, desh bada hai, kaum badi hai, jind amanat us desh ki. I am Kanshi Ram, and I'm going to dedicate my entire youth, my entire life to my country. We take birth only once, and that one life belongs to our motherland. This motherland is big, and this motherland will protect us. And our life, we owe it to our motherland. Thank you.
Desh bada hai, kaum badi hai. I am a Hindustani. Such a beautiful poem. Thank you so much, Rohini, for bringing the story of this forgotten hero, like you said, Kanshi Ramji. I'm sure many of us were not aware of, his existence even, and that's something that really shook me when you talked about him. It's also interesting how, over the period of time, there are two kinds of people who have fought for our freedom: the ones who have gone out there and fought with swords and guns and physically, and the others who took out the powerful pen and provoked so many of the others to go out and fight. So thank you for bringing this beautiful story, and also for sharing about Virendra Sharma ji, the 10-year-old boy, who took us through the entire story. So how did you feel when you're from Himachal, and how did you feel when you read about him or when you came across him?
You know, Sarita, you won't believe it. I have grown up in Himachal. I studied there. I did my college from there, and I had never heard of him. So when I started researching and I came across Kanshi Ram, I realized that people who take the exams in Himachal, and which is Himachal board, so the name comes in question papers, and that's how he's probably remembered. And so while I was doing the research, I found a lot of that, question answers or competitive exams and his name coming up. But I was like really shocked because nothing during my childhood. And in fact, I was discussing with my mother, and she too is from Himachal, and she said, I'm a little confused, I'm not very sure. So it was very unfortunate, when I got a reaction like that from her, and 2-3 other people also I mentioned his name too. So yeah, it was a little disheartening, but at the same time, I think this effort of yours to bring the unsung heroes to the forefront is great, because I'm sure a lot of people from Himachal and otherwise who didn't know about him will probably find out more about him through the story.
Thank
So I
you.
felt a sense of great pride, Sarita. Well, I was
Yes, I can actually see it in your eyes. So thank you so much for bringing this story. And you know what you said about, so many of us, that's one thing that keeps me and Itihaas Ke Pannon Se going is the encouragement and support that you all have given so far, coming in and sharing the stories. And it has been a journey for each and every teller is what everyone has said. So thank you again. And maybe we can share a couple of pictures as well about Kanshi Ramji.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, we have. Thank you, Anandita. Yeah, we're not able to. Just a minute. So that's Anandita who's sharing the screen with us. So thank you, Anandita. Without you, this is not possible. Thank you for the support.
Thank you, Anandita. Thank you so much.
So I found the ancient surgeon bit so fascinating. Kangra, it's like it's such a simple word, kan and gada, and I had no clue that there were ancient surgeons from that part.
Yeah, I think there's so much that you learn when you are researching. So thanks to you and that tidbit of information, I too learned something new about my state and my place of birth, Kangra. So yeah, I think mother tongue has so much power. What do you feel, Sarita?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
And
think
I have to confess, I still have to work a little bit more on my mother tongue. So it's work in progress.
that's something that really stood out for me for Kanshi Ram. I think the fact that he wrote in Pahadi in Himachali,
Yeah.
you know, I think that transcends all boundaries. You know, it'll reach everybody who is around listening to those words. And I think language makes such a lot of difference. And plus, again, I could really relate to him. I am a Gandhian as well. So the fact that he did not use any violence and he was so gentle in his ways, but the power of his pen, I think that was really fascinating.
Now that you mentioned it, that era when he was, with Jallianwala Bagh happening, with Bhagat Singh being hanged, there was a lot of unrest throughout India. And so the pen also provoked the others to act. So I think it's a very interesting mix to see how, everyone together in their own way fought for freedom at that point. And I think we have the presentation back. So
Yeah, let's see it. So that's the stamp that was released by Indira Gandhi on Baba Kanshi Ram.
okay. I love his eyes.
So this is the entire Congress force that came down to Dharamshala and Kangra when the earthquake hit them. So they were all part of the
Okay.
rescue missions, and you can see Kanshi also right there. So this
Yes.
is just a zoom in of this amazing
So
person.
this earthquake which happened, and they were all working to save people and
Yes,
uh, okay.
that's the stamp being released.
Okay.
So this picture is a little hazy, but this is from his young days. This is probably the time when he went to Lahore and he met all the freedom fighters over there. He also realized that he had a talent for music. So
Hmm.
this picture is from them then.
So did he use a lot of folk songs as well along with his poems? Because you talked about music instruments and all of that. So
Yeah. So he, as per my research, he composed all his poems and
okay.
his songs. Yeah, they were mostly self-composed. He wrote a lot even on farmer issues and issues of poverty, not just independence and freedom.
Hmm.
He wrote on other issues as well. But
Okay.
most of his poetry was on, of course, the freedom struggle.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the only school that is there. It's a government school again in Dada Sibba only, the place where he belonged to.
Hmm.
And this was, it's a government school. This was started even much before Himachal became Himachal.
Okay.
So the former Chief Minister of Punjab, Pratap Singh Kairong, he is the one who had established this school. But this is the only school that is there in his name in
And it's
Himachal.
still functional?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is. That's his house. It's in a dilapidated condition, as you can see from the picture. And in fact, this house is a repository of all his poetry, his diaries, his letters that he used to write. Everything is still there in there.
Okay.
and his photographs, and of course a little thing, things that he would use on daily basis, his clothes. I'm not sure if the clothes are still there, but his furniture and stuff like that. So it's all there, but it's in a terrible condition, this place.
So he does not have any family, or he was a bachelor?
He has grandchildren. In fact, some articles that I read where most of his grandchildren are, trying to get him some recognition.
Okay.
So there are some people in his family who are trying to make some efforts. He got married at the age of 7.
Oh yes, you did mention. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. No.
I just realized it after I asked, because as I was looking at the house, I was wondering about the family, and there's so much more that just I completely slipped that. So this is Virendra Sharma ji.
Yes, this person is Mr. Virendra Sharma. I tried really hard to look for him, but I thought maybe we could invite him here, but I couldn't touch base with him. But I did read a lot about his efforts to restore this place and get it recognized as a monument, and even get a museum made over here. So let's hope something comes out of.
So Virendra ji, if you're watching this, Itihaas Ke Pannon Se, we would we really like to meet you and see what's happening there. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you, Rohini, for bringing this beautiful story to us all the way from Himachal.
Thank you so much, Sarita. It was so much fun working on this, and thank you for the platform.
Thank you so much.
Pragun is saying something. Pragun, maybe you could put your audio on so that we could have a little chat. So thank you so much for your kind words. So she says, really love the research and the way we came to know about him. So thank you so much. And yes, I'm glad that I could introduce you to an unsung hero.
Beautiful narration. Rohini loved it. Glad to know about Kanshi Ram. Yes, we are all really happy to hear this story, and thank you. And I think with that, we can take leave from our Facebook audience who have joined in live. Thank you all for joining in on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and listening to us.
Do keep watching Itihaas Ke Pannon Se for many such stories of unsung heroes coming to you from various parts of India. And with that, see you next Friday live on HSPA Facebook page on Itihaas Ke Pannon Se. See you there.